Hi there, my name's Joe Fernandez and today I'm going over another Get Started guide showcasing survival hunters. As we know, survival hunters are very versatile, having heavy CC mechanics at their arsenal as well as high burst and passive damage, making them exceptional overall. I paired up with Dilly to talk about survival hunters. Dilly has been a main hunter for a long time, achieving multiple rank 1s as well as competing in WoW tournaments, recently winning one of the NA Spring Cups as well as participating in the AWC Spring Finals competition in Ohio. Survival Hunter, like most specs, are centered around one specific build with other talents or honor talents that can be changed. It's important to note that this is currently beta testing and things like the Azerite Traits are subject to change, but this will show a fundamental basis of how to start playing Survival Hunter. It will also highlight all the talents, which ones to choose and play, depending on you or your enemy's compositions. This is a great skill to have in arenas, especially for ladder play. Here is your go-to build, but there are talents that are changeable, so we will get through those, starting off with the normal talents. Viper's Venom is Dilly's favourite talent in this row. It can take some getting used to, but if used properly, it can be very efficient, giving good burst from the proc as well as being helpful with focus efficiency. Alpha Predator is also a good option in this tier, which could be better if you aren't too efficient with Viper's Venom. It gives good added burst pressure and can be much safer to use if you warrant an easier playstyle. The Gorilla's Tactics is by far the best choice in this row. Having great synergy with your Wildfire Infusion talent choice, giving either increased sustain or burst damage depending on the bomb you use. In this row, Camouflage can be very strong, allowing you to have a stealth for the opener, which can lead to making the first move offensively. I would advise playing with Camouflage when relying on strong openers, or you can use it after melding or feign deafing to give some extra added healing. The other contender is Natural Mending, although it may not have its uses too often. It provides decent use in longer games where you can use acceleration more, but Dilly would prefer using Camouflage in most situations. This row can be very close and could be dependent on how you achieve your killing blows. A Murder of Crows is certainly very powerful for burst pressure during offensive plays and should be highly considered for this purpose. Be careful though, as it now affects the GCD, so make sure you use your globals efficiently. Bloodseeker, however, grants you incredibly good passive damage, giving you a massive buff depending on how many enemies are bleeding. It's definitely a high contender with a Murder for Crows, and we recommend trying out both these talents in order for you to find out which one works best in your comp. Post Haste gives you a root breaker on a very low cooldown, making it extremely valuable in most situations. Getting yourself or your partner out of roots allows for more kiting or keeping up to your targets. Now, not all teams have roots too often, making post haste absolute in those situations. When that happens, Born to be Wild can be a good option, giving hunters a lower cooldown on Aspect of the Eagle and Turtle, providing more offensive and defensive cooldown usage. This can be excellent in longer games where you have more charges throughout the game of these aspects. The winner by a landslide on this row is Mongoose Bite. It provides survival with the best damage output in short games as well as potentially long games. It gives you crazy amounts of burst when you get 3 stacks, outshining Tip of the Spear. It also has great synergy with Aspect of the Eagle due to it becoming a ranged attack whilst this cooldown is up. Wildfire Infusion is another staple talent here. All bonuses from the bombs acquired can be very useful, causing crazy damage during your cooldown windows. This talent is very versatile and completely destroys the other talents in this row. Now we know our go-to spec with our normal talents, we can go and choose our honor talents. Survival Hunter has a wide choice of great honor talents both offensively and defensively. They can all be switched depending on their use, but have many stronger ones in general. Hunter is a very vulnerable target when locked down in stuns. so having Trinket will be able to negate this and create good survivability with Aspect of the Turtle. Also, when playing offensively, having the Gladiator's Medallion is also very strong. Using it during crowd control during your offense means you could land a potential CC or grab a kill when time is tight. Playing with the Gladiator's Medallion overall allows you to have more fluidity with your gameplay, just make sure you use it for very good reasons. Roar of Sacrifice is arguably the best honor talent a survival hunter has, and it will be used nearly all the time. It provides a great defensive damage reduction for you or your teammates on a low cooldown that will have multiple uses in an arena match, making it the best honor talent for survival. When dealing with a lot of melee, Tracker's Net adds a crazy amount of CC against them. You can use it often to peel them, rendering them useless as it's undispellable, but be careful as it can break on damage. It's a melee's nightmare, but it can also be very effective against healers, rooting them in place into a full freezing trap, making it a lot easier to land the traps. You can also use it in niche ways. Did you know you could use it to break the Karma dot and kill a monk through Karma, as well as it being able to make blinds miss? This talent is just crazy good against any melee team, or if you want an easier time to trap any healer apart from a Resto Druid. When dealing with Ferals or Assassination Rogues, Mending Bandage can be a great toolkit against these. It gets rid of all bleeds and poisons from yourself instantly, making it very annoying for them to deal with. Mending Bandage can also be used on your partners, making this talent a must when facing one of these specs. Its effect is tremendous and at such a low cooldown, making it highly valuable. Magical dots won't be affected by Mending Bandage, although playing with survival tactics can be used as a self-dispel, removing all magical dots on yourself, making this very powerful against dotting casters. It can also be used as a damage deterrent. When timed well, you can reduce damage hugely for a short time, making it very powerful against big damaging spells like Death from Above, Ebon Bolt, Chaos Bolt, or Touch of Death. In those situations, we'd warrant the use of survival tactics if needing to have better self-survivability. This is another talent that makes magical dot pressure even weaker against you. Having Dragon Scale armor makes you more durable against Affliction Warlords or Moonkins primarily. It could be used if against one of these classes and if you want to play more aggressively, allowing you to tank their damage whilst pushing in for CC and to try to get kills. Spider Sting is another talent that can add to your survival against casters. It interrupts offensive casts, perfect for dealing with mages. Whilst they land a polymorph and then are silenced or on a damaging spell, unable to cast more CC or damage. It could also be used against enemy Disc Priests, but only if they are doing damaging abilities with Penance or Purge the Wicked. Dilly would take this talent all the time when against a mage composition and needs better defensive utilities. Viper Sting has its niches that could be good versus Resto Druids, however overall Spider Sting feels better in nearly all situations. Now High Explosive Trap can be another great utility tool when fighting melee DPS. Knocking them far away, not only peeling them, but forcing the use of more mobility from them to catch up back on their target. You can also use it to trap a healer by harpooning onto them and knocking the other melee DPS away to secure a freezing trap on the healer. Be careful with the use of High Explosive Trap, as it doesn't happen instantly anymore and has some delay time. Diamond Ice provides a fail-proof way to trap a target without it getting dispelled. It does reduce the duration of the trap though, making it significantly weaker than the normal freezing trap in terms of trapping a healer. We'd only suggest the usage of Diamond Ice if you are playing with a partner that does heavy AoE damage, for example Unholy DKs or Boomkins. This means they can continue doing their damage without worrying about breaking trap with Diamond Ice. Moving on to the Azerite traits, there's a specific build of these traits that makes Hunter do crazy damage. You use 2 times Blur of Talons traits, as well as 1 times Wilderness Survival trait. Wilderness Survival also works with Mongoose Bite, giving you even more damage on your Mongoose Bites, as well as every use of Mongoose Bite lowering the cooldown of Wildfire Bomb. This is an extremely powerful trait to have and is recommended to have one of those traits for the CDR bonus. Blur of Talons can give you a huge agility gain each time you Mongoose Bite as well, adding to your passive and burst damage significantly. Since this trait can stack with each other, as well as give you even more DPS than Wilderness Survival, it's recommended that you take 2 Blur of Talons and 1 Wilderness Survival trait. As we know, it may be difficult to get these Azerite traits to begin with, so for backup options you can use Up Close and Personal, as well as Venomous Fangs. These choices are okay, they pale in comparison to the main traits but should be used if they're unavailable. Other than that, the racial traits such as Sylvanas' Resolve or Anduin's Dedication would be another backup option. Now, the defensive traits are usually very lackluster, but survival hunters have a very strong one known as Duck and Cover. This gives you an absorb against incoming damage when you feign death, as well as lowering the cooldown of feign death, making it very powerful for a defensive trait. This can work wonders with survival tactics too, but bear in mind it's better to have the offensive traits over these defensive traits. Now that gearing has become a major factor in PvP, it's important to know which stats are best. So here is your stat prioritization as survival. Agility, then haste, then versatility, then crit, then mastery. Haste is once again the best stat for most classes, and survival is no exception, bringing you reduced global cooldowns, much needed to survival gameplay due to the amount of spells or utility options you have at your disposal. Versatility, again providing with good damage and also better survivability, making this the second best stat option. Finally, mastery should be avoided at all costs as it's a terrible stat towards survival hunters. Bear in mind, agility will be the best to begin with, diminishing its effect throughout the expansion. Haste is nearly already better than it, which means it will most likely overtake agility once you start reaching the higher item levels, so be careful when gearing at this stage. Enchants are very basic here, enchanting haste on your rings and quick navigation on your weapon. This gives you your highest DPS increase in terms of enchants available. There's quite a few close options in terms of races for Alliance. When dealing with heavy dog classes, Dwarf or Dark Iron Dwarf can be very useful and easy to use, making it very strong in general. Draenei is also another safe class, having a strong hot, useful in high burst situations. Void Elf gives you a nifty rift, making it tricky, but effective to use in situations such as trapping a healer whilst having uptime on the DPS. Night Elf can also be very powerful, but requires a higher skill cap to pull off. When timed well, you can melt Stormbolt's incoming damage and also use it to camouflage again when needed. The best overall Alliance racial will probably be one of the Dwarf ones, due to its safety net and added tankiness to dog classes. For the Horde side, Orc once again provides an insane racial due to hardiness and having Gladiator's Medallion making it the strongest Horde choice as well as strongest racial overall. It also adds 1% damage to pets, which is another helpful use especially towards survival hunters. Troll can still be a nice option though, giving crazy burst damage with the use of Berserking. Survival hunters also have a priority damage rotation, which looks like the following. Number 1, kill command if not focus capping. Number 2, wildfire infusion before 2 charges. Number 3, Viper's Venom when it procs. Number 4, Serpent Sting on your target. Number 5, Mongoose Bite at 60 focus. Number 6, Wildfire Infusion. Bear in mind with Volatile Bomb, it does extra damage against targets with Serpent Sting debuff, as well as refreshing Serpent Sting's duration. Be careful with using your bomb spells as they can all break CC, which is critical for landing kills. Not much changes in multi-target damage for Hunter. You basically want to spread your Serpent Sting if so, and try to hit your Volatile Bomb on both targets for more damage. Other than that, you keep up with your single target rotation as prioritized above. When bursting, we want to utilize all our burst cooldowns, so Coordinated Assault, 2 charges of bombs, no Mongoose Bite stacks, as well as a Murder of Crows if talented ready. You should also have high focus as it's required when pulling off your highest burst damage. This is what your burst damage should look like. Number 1, Serpent Sting reapplied. Number 2, a Murder of Crows if talented. Number 3, Coordinated Assault. Number 4, 2 times Wildfire Infusion Bombs. And number 5, Mongoose Bite plus Kill Command Weaving. It's important to reapply Serpent Sting before you burst so you can focus your GCDs on other bursting abilities. You want to primarily be focusing on Mongoose Biting damage to build up its stacks and have crazy burst damage during your Coordinated Assault. Your opening as a Hunter can be highly effective when playing with Camouflage. You can open with your burst rotation from Camouflage whilst having trinkets procced as well as an on-use trinket. You may also want to instantly Intimidation the enemy healer with a freezing trap, or just trap them instantly and begin bursting the enemy DPS, usually forcing cooldowns of defensive play from the enemy team. With a sub-rogue, you could just spam damage instead of doing CC if the rogue can achieve the crowd control for you. Pets for Survival Hunter are very important in terms of DPS increase and crucial abilities for your team, which can be incredibly helpful. Kill Command not only does damage, but helps generate a lot of focus whilst your pet can attack, which is critical for good focus generation. This allows you to have more DPS throughout an arena match. There are also recommended pets that are useful in most or certain situations. The most used pets will have Cunning, which gives us Master's Call. This ability is super strong for you and your partners as it's a root breaker with a low cooldown. The pet will also need a healing reduction effect, applying mortal wounds on the enemy target. There are 3 pets with both Cunning and mortal wounds: the Raptors, the Rodents, and the Hyenas. These will be your go-to pets that you'll use most of the time. If you play against a team where Master's Call isn't needed, then you could opt for using a Hydra, Lizard, or River Beast as pets, providing you with a more defensive ability. On the odd case where no mortal wounds is needed, then you can opt for a Cunning pet with another ability to help increase the team's overall strength. The Mother Spore Bat has a purge on a 10-second cooldown, making it strong when playing with classes like Assassination Rogues or Arms Warriors, whom already have access to the Mortal Wounds debuff. So, to recap, master your single target rotation in terms of passive pressure and burst. Doing this will mean every time you CC an enemy healer whilst attempting to kill the DPS, it's important to make every global count. Understand how you get your kills in your specific comp, in order to spec properly for either more passive damage or burst damage, achieving your kill potentials easier. Become confident in landing your CC and that you're very careful with not breaking it. Your pet is essential to your gameplay and increases your toolkit. Knowing which pet to use in which situation can give you an advantage in specific matchups. That's all for this guide on Survival Hunter. Be sure to plus skill this guide if it helped, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.